All right, let's get started. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Morehouse Tiger Talks, Starting Smart, a guide to housing, medical clearance, advising, and enrollment. We are thrilled to have you. I assume there are many of our class of 2029 here on the call, here to learn about everything that they need to be doing, starting immediately to get ready to step foot on Morehouse campus this fall. We are excited and we look forward to seeing you all. I'm Paula Ressley. I am the moderator here this evening. I'm the Chief Brand Officer and Vice President of Strategic Marketing, Communications, and Admissions for Morehouse College. I've been with Morehouse for just now 3 years. It was my anniversary just a few days ago, so it has been an honor and a thrill to work for the college. Joining me this evening is Ashley Hill from Morehouse. She's our divisional advisor, and I'll let her give a little bit more about her when she goes to present, as well as Javeria Lodi, who's our program coordinator at the Student Health and Wellness Center. And then we have Ms. Shamaria Simmons, who is our Associate Director of Digital Operations, who will be here tonight to speak to you about housing. First, just to give you a little bit about this amazing college. Morehouse is the nation's only historically Black private liberal arts college for men. We have been in service for over 150 years. We've prepared young men to change the world through leadership and service, driven by innovation, technology, global cultural dexterity, and a liberal arts foundation of knowledge and pillars of the community. Morehouse is a community with a mission, is to develop men with disciplined minds who will lead lives of leadership and service. This evening, we have a lot to cover. So we have all of the experts that will be giving you the information that you need, answering questions at the end. I will say use the Q&A that we have here to answer or to submit any questions. We will do our best to answer most of them. If we're unable to, we'll give you contact information so you can follow up and get some of the answers that you want. First and foremost, we got Maroon Tiger Advising. This is what Ms. Hill is going to speak to you about. She will walk you through the emails, the forms, advising, what the registration is like. Then we have Javeria Lodi, who will talk about medical clearance and all the immunization requirements, testing, vaccination locations, all the relevant information that you're going to need to make sure that you're fully medically cleared for your journey here at Morehouse. Then we will get into housing and residential education. This is where Ms. Simmons will speak to you about how you apply for housing, what the costs are and the deadlines, what that structure is like, what the communities are like, opportunities, all kinds of great information. So let's get started. I think we're going to turn it over. Yes, Maroon Tiger Advising. So I am going to turn it over to Miss Hill.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I am Miss Hill. I am one of the divisional advisors. So I am going to walk you through the do the advising process so you understand what you're going to get yourself into to move through the advising process to registration. So I first want to introduce what our setup is for our divisions and how it works at Morehouse. So we have 4 different divisions. Our first division is business and economics. Our dean is Dr. Gibbs. And inside of this division, it houses 2 majors. You have business administration and economics. Within business, you have 4 different concentrations. And then within economics, there's 2. So there's accounting, finance, management and marketing for business. And then for those that are majoring in in economics, you have the option of doing the math concentration or the non-math concentration. For the humanities, social science, media, and the arts, the dean of this division is Dr. Jackson. Inside of this division, you have so many majors. And so they range from Africana studies all the way down to urban studies and also undeclared students. So this is the biggest division is when it comes to majors. The next division is professional and continuing studies. The dean of this division is Dr. Hudo. Inside of this division, you have education and kinesiology. And then lastly is our STEM division. It is headed by the dean, who is Dr. Red. And inside of this division, you have your biologies, chemistry, computer science, physics, dual engineering, and psychology, mathematics, and also software engineering. So hopefully you all fit into one of those different areas, right? And so once you have deposited, you're going to get an welcome email from the advising team. The email will come from admission. So you won't be looking for a message from Maroon Tiger Advising. The email will come from admissions and it will welcome you to the advising process and you will start your journey. In that email, it's very simple and brief. And it has a link to the website. And the page that we just saw was the homepage for the website. Once you get into the website, you do have a message from the Maroon Tiger advising team, and we're simply telling you to proceed to phase one. And so once you go into phase one, you will see the three components that you must complete to move forward. So phase one is our forms and assessment phase. So you will complete three different things. You'll have your advising form, and this is where you're able to make a major change. If for some reason you have decided you want to change your major, or if it was incorrectly listed on your admissions paperwork, this is your opportunity to get that change into the system. So you will submit the advising form. And if you need to update your major, you can do so inside of the form. If you don't need to update your major, you still have to complete the form, okay? And this is how we make sure that you are in the right major for the advising process. And so you'll complete the advising form and then you'll complete two different assessments. The assessments are required for every student, no matter if you are dual enrollment, if you're a transfer student, or a true freshman who hasn't taken any college credits, you all have to complete both assessments. Both assessments have directions noted. And so you will click the link for the directions. It will open up the directions and then you follow directions as they are listed. Okay. The deadline for phase one is May 23rd. So if you have already received the email that's telling you to go ahead and start the advising process, please do not delay because it will allow you to move into phase two of the advising process. So the phase two of the advising process occurs once you have completed phase one. So in phase two, this is where you'll get your assessment results. Those emails will come from the Maroon Tiger advising team. And so we will send you an email and it will state your math placement. It'll state your foreign language placement. And then it'll also give you some information for your major and which classes you need to take. Also, in that same email, you will get an invitation to attend the Advising Wednesday session. There will be a session assigned to you. If you're unable to attend that session that's assigned, you can attend any of the later sessions. So on this page, you will have a link to the Advising Wednesday session. So if you aren't able to get into the one that we assigned to you, you have the schedule available. And then also in phase two, you are also going to become financially and medically cleared so that you can actually gain access to the registration system. In phase two, you are meeting with the advisors live. And so you're able to ask any questions that you have at that time in a group setting. It is virtually, it will be held via Zoom. So you don't have to come to Morehouse. You don't have to miss school or anything like that. You'll be able to attend this session from wherever you are in the world. And then we'll walk you through the registration process. You'll see some videos, you'll get some links, some information, and we will walk you through the assessment results that you received in the email because it won't make sense to you initially, but we will walk you through the assessment results so you know exactly what you need to do in order to register for classes. Once you have attended your Advising Wednesday session and you have become financially and medically cleared, you move into phase three. In phase three is registering for classes. So at this point, you'll get another email from us and it'll say it's time for you to go ahead and register for classes. You have 1 week to register for classes. Okay. So when you get that email, your time clock starts to run. So you always want to get in the habit of checking your Morehouse email from this point on so that you are aware of all communications when it comes to the advising process. Okay. And so you'll get a week to register for classes and then the system will lock. So you won't be able to make any additional changes to your schedule. The advisors will then confirm your schedule where we're actually looking at the courses you registered for. We're making sure that you are registered for classes that number one, you need for graduation. But number two, we're making sure that if you told us you are doing dual enrollment right now, and you're waiting on your final grades and say an English class, we're making sure that you did not register for the English class that you are seeking credit for already from dual enrollment. So we're doing a little checks and balance just to make sure you did the registration process correctly. And if you didn't, no worries, we will go ahead and fix your schedule so that it makes sense. And then you'll get an email from us that says your schedule has been confirmed and it's now locked. And then we look forward to seeing you at NSO in August. So that is the complete advising process. We have already began that process in phase two. So if you haven't completed your assessments just yet, go ahead and complete them so you can move into phase two and then into phase three rather seamlessly. And then on the last page of that website that you'll get in that email, you have a resource page. So there's a link to financial clearance. There's a link to the medical clearance, which we'll have someone else talk about. You also have a link to the AP scores, scores, and IB scores. We do look at those scores to see if you're able to get credit for those courses that you have taken or that you're anticipating taking. So we want to make sure that you are paying attention to that and you can see what classes we accept and what credits we accept. You can see that when you click into that link. If you currently have accommodations and you want to bring those accommodations over to Morehouse, I want you to click into the accommodations link so that you can start that process. Your accommodations start now. Honestly, you can have your accommodations for your assessment, the assessments, the math and the foreign language. So if you want to bring those accommodations over, I want you to make sure you're clicking that accommodation link and following the directions in there so that we can get that process started. There's always a link for the academic calendar. And then there's also the student information release form, the transfer credit evaluation system so you can see what classes transferred in if you did dual enrollment or if you are a transfer student. And then lastly is our Instagram account. We always want you all to be connected with us via Instagram, via email, and then also our learning system, which you will learn about more once you are enrolled in school. And so here are just some examples of what will come through your email. So the first example is your assessments results. So this is the first component of phase two. This will come to you in an email. This is not to be shared with any other student that you know is attending Morehouse in the fall. This information is individualized, it's for you. And the link that goes to the Advising Wednesday session is just for you. So once this hits your email, please do not share it with anyone. Do not share that link with anyone because each student must follow the steps in order to be invited to that Advising Wednesday session. During the Advising Wednesday session, we will walk you through this entire form so that it makes sense to you when you go ahead and register for classes in phase three. This is the Advising Wednesday schedule. We wanted to pull it out so you were aware of when we were holding the Advising Wednesday schedules. Of course, it's a link inside of that website, but these are the days and the times. It's always 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. So 10:30 and 2:30. You only need to come to one session. So one session is all you need. You don't need to do two that particular day or do one in May and one in June, just one period and you're good to go. We say the same information in every session. So one is only needed. And again, you'll be invited to that session. It's via Zoom and you'll have the link to join the session that you were invited to. And then once registration opens, you'll get an email that looks like this that tells you big bold letters, registration is open for you. So go ahead and register. And then we will tell you when it closes. You'll have the date noted. So it's not a surprise that registration closes for you on July 5th. You will know it'll be clearly stated in that email. Registration times will differ for each individual depending on when you completed that Advising Wednesday session and when you were cleared to register for classes. So again, just because it applied to you does not mean it applies to your friend, okay? Everything is unique. And then lastly, once your schedule is confirmed, you'll get another email that says your schedule is confirmed, and we look forward to seeing you at new student orientation. And here is our contact information. Some of you have already gotten an email from your advisor. So if I am your advisor, for example, you don't have to email Maroon Tiger Advising. You can email me directly. You already have that. But any general questions that you have, Maroon Tiger Advising at Morehouse EDU. And again, of course, please connect with us on Instagram. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Miss Hill, for all that wonderful information. We have a bunch of questions coming through, so we will get to those at the end. But appreciate everyone putting their questions in the Q&A. We will take some time at the end to get to those, as we said before. So now we're going to move on to our next topic with the wonderful Javaria Lodi, who is joining us from the Student Health and Wellness Clinic. So I will turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name's Javaria. I am the program coordinator from Student Health and Wellness. Student Health and Wellness is basically going to be like your primary care doctor's office while you're at Morehouse. And we offer a wide range of services from behavioral health and just the best way I put it is like it's just a doctor's office that you can use while you're at Morehouse. So today I'll be talking about the immunization requirements and all that you'll need in order to be cleared to register for classes and get into housing and all that. So right here are the immunization requirements. You'll need 2 shots of MMR, 2 shots of varicella, 1 shot of Tdap within the last 10 years. And let's say your Tdap expires while you're at Morehouse. That's okay. You can just give me a call and we can schedule you an appointment to have it done at Student Health. Hepatitis B, you'll need 3 doses of that. You'll need 1 shot of meningococcal ACWY given on or after your 16th birthday. And then you'll need meningococcal B, which I'll get into that in a minute. You'll need tuberculosis testing. That can be either a skin test or a quantiferon, which is a blood draw. And that has to be done within 1 year of your start date at Morehouse. And then I do want to emphasize that COVID is not required anymore. It is just recommended. So I think the biggest misconception that I see with parents and students is the difference between meningococcal ACWY and meningococcal B. They are not the same vaccine. They are 2 completely different shots from each other. For meningococcal ACWY, again, it has to be given on or after your 16th birthday. And the brands for that are either Menveo, Menquadfi, or Menactra. Meningococcal B. Okay, so the CDC recently just changed its guidelines, which the AUCC is now following. So say you had your first shot of meningococcal B today. You're like, okay, in 6 months, what do I do? Like, I'm going to be in school in 6 months. Like, does this mean I'm not going to get cleared? No, that does not mean you're not going to get cleared. If, for example, you had the first shot done today, you'll upload proof of that into Point and Click, which I'll explain in a little. And I'll give you a 6-month temporary exemption. So 6 months from today is like November. And then on November 13th, you would have a hold placed on your account until you get that second shot. But again, you can reach out to me, give me a call, shoot me an email, or book an appointment online through Point and Click, and we can give you that second shot of meningococcal B at the student clinic. If you get your first shot today, or even if you've had it before, I need to know what kind of brand you got. So the 2 brands for meningococcal B are Bexsero or Trememba. And it has to be the same shot for dose 2. So if you got Bexsero the first time, you have to get Bexsero the second time. Now, say you got Bexsero the first time and Trememba the second time, you will have to get a 3rd dose. So we just have to make sure that you have the same doses for both shots. And I know this can be kind of confusing, but again, if you have any questions, you can reach out directly to me about that. So for tuberculosis testing, like I said, it has to be done within 1 year of your start date at Morehouse. So if you had a tuberculosis testing done in 2023, unfortunately, I can't accept that. And when you're uploading proof of your tuberculosis testing, if you're getting a skin test, I need to see your name on it, the date the test was administered, the date the test was read, the site placement of your test, which is usually like on your left arm or your right arm, the test results, and then I need to see like the facility that you had it done at or your healthcare provider's signature. And then you want to make sure that your skin test is read within 2 days, no greater than 3 days. So if you're having your skin test read on the fourth day, I'm going to say, sorry, like you have to go get it redone. If you've ever had a positive tuberculosis test before, you'll need to have a chest x-ray done. And you'll also need to have a chest x-ray done if you've previously had the BCG vaccine. And then we'll review the chest x-ray and kind of work with you one-on-one to let you know what the next steps are after that. So where can you get vaccinated? The best place to get vaccinated is with your primary care doctor. But if you don't have that, that's fine. You can go to a local health department. You can go to a pharmacy like CVS, Walgreens, Kroger, Walmart. You can go to urgent care, which is great for tuberculosis testing. And then again, once you're at school in Morehouse, you can utilize the Student Health and Wellness Center. And I do want to emphasize that wherever you're getting your vaccines done at, please make sure they're giving you the correct vaccine. I can't even believe I have to say this, but even with like some incoming students, I have seen them get the incorrect vaccine, and it's not their fault, it's the provider's fault. So please just confirm with the facility or your healthcare provider that you are receiving the correct vaccine before they inject you. Okay, so if everyone can pull their phones out and scan that QR code right there, that is going to take you to the Student Health and Wellness portal. And I want to emphasize that this is a separate portal from anything at Morehouse. So once you scan that QR code, please bookmark it on your phone, on your computer. This is where you're going to upload your immunizations. This is where you can book appointments with us. This is where, like, if you're feeling sick one day and you're not sure like what to do, you can send a doctor a message or you can send me a message. So it's really important for you guys to get familiar with this portal, because anything student health related pertaining to you is all going to be done through this portal. And then a big question I get is like, well, what's my username? So I just put an example on this slide right here. Your username is going to be everything before the @ in your Morehouse email. So my Morehouse School of Medicine email is jlodi@msm.edu. So my username to the portal would be JLODI, JLODI. This is our contact information. Definitely take a picture of it. That's my email. So if you ever have any questions, you can email me directly and I'll work with you one-on-one. And then I really do encourage all of you guys to follow us on Instagram. I know a lot of college kids are like in Instagram nowadays, and we're super active on it. So it's a great way to stay up to date about what we're doing. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities. We have a lot of like fun events where we just like have food ordered and like would love for students to come and hang out with us. So please follow us on Instagram, and I can't wait to meet all of you.
Thank you so much. Again, super helpful, really great information that everyone that's planning to come here to Morehouse in the fall will absolutely need to go through those processes and have those forms and immunizations and all of those things secured, and make sure you are ready to step foot on campus day one. I will also just mention that Morehouse does have an admissions resource center on our website that has access to a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here, links to different things, the point and click, all of that. So if you just Google Morehouse Admissions Resource Center, it's going to come up at one of the top two search results, I'm assuming, because it's pretty easy to find us. So feel free to do that as well if you're looking for more information or need some help with the admissions process and how you get into the enrollment. So now we are going to move over to Shamaria Simmons, who is going to talk with us about housing.
So, good evening, everybody. My name is Shamaria Simmons, and I am the Associate Director of Digital Operations. But tonight, I am joining you on behalf of the Department of Housing and Residential Education. So the mission of the Department of Housing and Residential Education, which I will probably shorten to DHRE for the rest of the presentation, is to provide a living environment that promotes learning and development in the broadest sense, with an emphasis on on supporting the academic mission of the institution. And the vision is to become a premier collegiate housing and residential education program. So here's an overview of housing at a glance. We have 12 houses on Morehouse's campus, and we call them houses, not dorms, because dorms seem to imply that this is a place that you sleep. But our houses are actually a place for community engagement and building a brotherhood. You do more than just sleep there. You live there, you learn there. We have 11 professional staff members, and then there are 55 resident advisors. So we'll go over the requirements for applying for housing. So in order to apply for housing, you only need two things. First, of course, you will have to have applied for the school and been accepted. And then you will have had to have paid your enrollment deposit. Those are the only two things that you have to satisfy in order to have access to the housing application. However, before you will actually receive a housing assignment, there are a few things that you will have to do. You have to submit your required health documents. So all of the information that Javeria shared with you earlier. You have to complete your mandatory placement exams. You have to meet with your academic advisor. You also need to be enrolled as a full-time student, which means that you have to have 12 credit hours. And then you also have to satisfy all of these enrollment requirements and meet all of our payment deadlines before we will actually provide you with your housing assignment. Okay, so right now, the housing application portal is open. It opened on May 1st. The priority deadline to complete the housing application is June 1st. Housing is available on a first come, first served basis. So new students who are applying do receive priority in the process, but we cannot guarantee that students who do not complete all of those requirements in time will receive housing. They will continue to be assigned on a continuous basis until we have students in all available spaces. Another deadline that you need to be mindful of is May 30th. If you require any ADA housing accommodations, you need to contact the Student Accessibility Services Center at sas@morehouse.edu by May 30th so that we can work to fulfill your accommodations. Again, these will not be guaranteed, but if rooms are available, we will make every effort to accommodate you. All right, so you may have heard Paula indicate earlier that the mission of Morehouse is to develop men with disciplined minds who live lives of leadership and service. That is not just restricted into the classroom. DHRE also provides leadership opportunities to the young men who live and learn here. So here are a few. You can join the Residence Hall Association. You can become a National Residence Hall honorary, become a member of the House Council, or you can become a resident advisor. We also have living and learning communities within our houses. They are BOSS, iSTEM, Evolution, Global Leadership, and Signifying Soul House. So we also have programs and events. Some of the activities that the young men who attend Morehouse are involved in, we have movie nights, there's cookouts, resume workshops. The brothers come in and they teach you how to tie a tie. There's roller skating, March Madness, and we also have worship service. We also provide the best programming model that's hosted by the resident advisors. Each RA has one program a month that they offer, and BEST stands for Brotherhood, Educational, Social, and Transformational. So you'll see here on this slide, and I will give you a moment to take a look, what our traditional room charges are, what our suite charges are. We see that for summer school, the charges are different than they are during the fall and spring semesters. And here we also include information regarding our meal plan. There are four options for the students to choose from during the regular semester. And then during the summer, there are traditional residence hall meal plans during the summer. So you'll see here, there's unlimited meals with 230 declining balance dollars. They can get 14 meals per week with 510 DCB dollars, or 5 meals a week with 714 DCB dollars, and 75 block meals per semester with 230 DCB dollars. So for most first year students, this is what our expectations are for housing and meals, which is just above $4,200 a semester. If they choose the unlimited meal plan, it would be $3,517 per semester. For dining options, we have 6 options. There's Shivers Dining Hall, that is the main cafeteria. We have Black Coffee Company, Crafted, Deluxe Grill, Food Hive, which is our community market, and then Slim and Huskies, which serves pizza, salad, wings. And as I mentioned before, if you require ADA accommodations, you have to contact Student Accessibility Services. And that email is sas@morehouse.edu. And again, that priority deadline to request the accommodations is May 30th, so at the end of this month. If you need to contact the Department of Housing and Residential Education, you'll see here that we are located in Kilgore Commons. The email is tigerden@morehouse.edu, or you can call the phone number that's listed here on the slide. We'll leave this here for a few seconds if anyone wants to take a screenshot in order to take down this information.
All right. Thank you so much, Shamaria, for stepping in for DHRE this evening and giving that great information. We appreciate that. All right. If we want to flip to the next, yep, we're at Q&A. Excellent. All right. Well, there are a lot of questions, so we're going to jump in. I do want to just mention first, I think Miss Hill had alluded to making sure you check your email, specifically your Morehouse email. We get a lot of students that get confused. They're checking their personal email, they're checking the high school email. You now have a Morehouse email. If you're an admitted student, you received credentials, you have a Morehouse email address. That is where your communication is going to. So be sure you understand how to get there, how to access that. Check it regularly. It's very important. Lots of important information goes there. So you need to make sure you're checking into that on a regular basis. And I will also say, for any of the students that are saying, when should I start doing these things? Right now, today. You have emails in your inbox that are saying there are things that you could be doing, filling out the, what was the form that Ms. Hill alluded to? There's a lot of things that you can be going and getting your immunizations. You can be doing all of those things. It will behoove you to be ahead of that rather than behind it, not only because, as Shamaria mentioned, helps you with the housing. We got to get all that stuff done before we're going to get you into any housing. So if you want to get in housing, you want to get all that in as soon as possible. All right, let me jump into some of these questions that we have in the Q&A. Thank you so much for submitting those. Number one, this goes to you, Ms. Hill. How long does it take to receive assessment results?
So we started sending out assessment results on May 1st. Remember, there's 700 or so of you all, and there are 4 advisors. So please be patient. If you completed your advising form, your math placement, and your foreign language assessment as well, you should be, if you haven't already received it, you should be receiving it in the next week or so that you're invited to that first advising Wednesday session. Now, if you completed the math assessment and the foreign language assessment, but failed to do that advising form, because we do have several who haven't, you will not be invited into the advising Wednesday session until all components are complete. But the May 1st is when we started, and it's ongoing. We're sending them every single day.
Excellent. Thank you for that. There's quite a few for you that are right off the bat, Miss Hill. So we're going to stay with you for just a minute. If a student did not do well on the assessment, but is successfully passing a dual enrollment class resulting in approved credits, will they be required to retake the assessment, and can assessments be retaken?
So number one, assessments the math assessment, you are all able to retake that test in July. So in the directions of the math assessment, it tells you the dates of when the retake is. It's in bold red writing so that you do not miss it. It's not on page 1 though, but it is on there, like page 2 or 3. It's there. So you all have the opportunity to do a retake in July. The way Alex is set up, if you took the test initially, it opens the system for more practice. So you have from the first time that you took the test all the way until almost the end of July to practice and hone on those skills that you didn't do well in, with the intent and the purpose of trying to test higher. Okay. If you are in a dual enrollment course, if you are in a math course and you're a transfer student and you're anticipating those credits to come over to Morehouse, we will evaluate that. You will upload all of that information into your advising form. That's why that form is very important. It's giving us your educational background before it hits records. Okay. And so we will take into the account those transfer credits or those dual enrollment credits, those AP scores, IB scores. We look at all of that, and whatever is higher for math or foreign language for that matter, that's what counts. That's what we're looking at. We're not taking the lowest, we're taking the highest. Okay. But you all are required to do both assessments, regardless of what you're anticipating on transferring in.
Thank you. What is the required score needed on the placement exam to be placed in the college level math course? If a student must begin in a lower level class, what's the course sequence up to the college level math class?
So that is a question that will be answered during advising Wednesday session. The scores, it doesn't matter what your score says at this point, because you all have the opportunity to retake the test. So when you get your placement results, it'll tell you which math class you placed into, but it's in enough time that you can prepare for the retake, because that doesn't happen until July. And then during the advising Wednesday session, we will go through the math sequence so that you all are aware of what's required for your particular major. So I don't want to go into it because we have several majors on call and I don't want anyone confused on what their requirements are. But during your advising Wednesday session, because it's by major in division, you will know which math courses you need for graduation.
Okay, great. Shamari, I got one for housing, so I'm hoping you'll have an answer for this one. Can people with completely different majors still room together?
Yes. Sorry.
I see Miss Hill nodding her head.
Yes, they can.
Okay, thank you. We're going to come right back to you again, Ms. Hill, with one more. Can you request a change to your classes, such as your math level, during the advising session?
No, it's all based on your assessment results. So there are no changes. It's based on your assessment results or IB credits, AP credits, PLEP, or dual enrollment transfer credits. So you can't say, oh, I don't want to take college algebra. I want to take calculus if you tested into college algebra. You have to go where you were assessed in.
Okay. And I think this next one is that you do have to do your assessment first, but it's the advising Wednesdays are open to whichever one people want to come, but you can answer this. How are the advising Wednesday sessions scheduled, and is it determined by when you finish your assessment?
Yes, it's determined by when you finish phase 1. So advising form, math assessment, foreign language assessment will determine which advising Wednesday you are invited into. Now, if you can't attend that session, you can go to a later session. They happen every Wednesday between May 21st till the end of June, every single Wednesday. So if you're unable to make that May session, if you're invited into that May session, because some of you will still be in school, we are aware. If you can't get to that session, you're able to do it in the following week or the week after that.
Okay. So once they take their assessment, they do get assigned to a advisory
Yes.
Wednesday, but they're open to go to one after that if they're unable to make that.
Correct. But you want to make the one that you were invited to because that allows you a greater chance of being able to register before others. So you can't register until you complete the phase 2. So a part of phase 2 is advising Wednesday. So if you were invited to May and you can't come till June, you won't register until late June, probably.
Yeah. The theme here, I think, is that old saying, the early bird gets the worm.
Gets the worm.
Right?
Correct. Yes.
So everyone on here, do your stuff early and it'll behoove you to do that. Okay. I plan on attending the accelerated summer program. Will my advisor assist with selecting those classes during the advising session?
So the MAP program, I'm assuming that's what they are referring to. That is a pre-planned program. So there are certain classes that you will take, but they are aware of your placement scores. So that math class, they look at your placements that we will send over to the program and you will place accordingly for that math class. But again, that advising form is important. So if you have transfer credits and you're doing that MAP program, you must complete that and tell us in that form so that you don't end up in a math class that you are transferring in. Okay. So, but yes, they are aware of your assessment score so that you are placed correctly.
Excellent. Thank you. If you score significantly well on the SAT, do you still have to take the placement exams?
Everyone has to take the placement exams. If you don't, you can't move into phase 2, which means you won't do advising Wednesday, which means you can't do registration, which means you won't get a housing placement. So everyone must take all assessments. Everyone must do all components of phase 1.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Hill, we're going to give you a little bit of a break and we're going to move to Javeria. So we got a couple questions for you. Will we receive an alert if the uploaded immunization records are not approved?
So I will not be the one to give you an alert because I have thousands of students that I have to process documentation for. And again, it's just one of me. So that's why I said it's really important for you all to bookmark the point and click portal to your phone, to your computer, because it'll be your responsibility to log into point and click to see whether you are compliant or non-compliant. And what I do is say I'm the incoming student and I've uploaded my records into point and click and I have everything compliant except maybe my tuberculosis test. I will send you a message in point and click and I'll be like, hey, Erin, like you have everything, but you don't have your tuberculosis test. You will need to upload proof of that in order to become fully compliant. So I do send students messages in point and click if they are missing something, but I will not notify you if you are fully compliant. That's your responsibility to log into the portal and check to see if your status has changed from non-compliant to compliant.
Okay, great. And for everyone, if you didn't get that QR code, you missed it. As I mentioned, there is access to point and click and how to set up point and click and all of that on the Morehouse Admissions Resource Center. So just Google Morehouse Admissions Resource Center. You have to look around a little bit in there, but it's pretty user-friendly and pretty intuitive. So I'm sure you'll find it pretty easily. I just don't have the direct link to give you right here and now, but all of that information is in the Admissions Resource Center.
And I also want to mention that, once you've paid your deposit and you have access to the Morehouse student portal for Morehouse, not for student health, I know that there's like a bunch of different apps that students can click on to whether that's to get to their Morehouse email or to get to important documents or whatever. You can access point and click through the student portal with Morehouse.
Okay. That's a good point, because as we're stressing for people to use their Morehouse credentials to check their email, that's
Right.
also where they can check that portal and have access to those things. So thank you for that too. And we did just post the link to the Admissions Resource Center in the chat. So if you want to capture that, anyone on the call, you can do that and bookmark that as well. All right, where were we? Does the TB test have to be blood drawn?
So it does not have to be a blood drawn. Like I said earlier in my slide, you can either get a skin test, which is abbreviated as PPD, or you can get a quantiferon, which is a blood draw. I will say the skin test is a 2-day appointment, and I don't like to go to the doctor's 2 days, so I would pick the quantiferon because it's just a 1-day appointment. You go, they draw your blood, they send it off to the lab, and then they give you a result. So it's really up to you which one you want to do. Like I said, the PPD skin test is a 2-day appointment. The quantiferon blood draw, it's just a 1-day appointment.
Okay. I think I have one more, maybe two for you, and then I'm coming back to you, Miss Hill, with another one. Does the Health and Wellness Center have a cost associated, and what are the hours of operation?
Yeah, so student health and wellness does not necessarily have a cost associated with it. Like I said, we're just like a typical primary care doctor's office for Morehouse. With that being said, we do run insurance for any lab tests that you might need, or if you need to be seen by a doctor, we do run insurance for that. And I know that student health insurance is part of Morehouse's tuition. If you want to stay on your parents' insurance and you're like, I don't need to pay extra for the student health insurance through Morehouse, you need to go through the registrar or account services to intentionally sign a waiver to not have student health insurance be part of your tuition. If you do not do that, then you're automatically going to have the student health insurance, which is going to be covered by United Healthcare. And if you don't have insurance, then please don't let that be a reason that you don't come see us. I'll never turn a student away because they can't afford it or because they don't have insurance. We will figure something out for you. We are here for you guys. So don't ever think that like insurance is a blockage for you to not come see us, because like I said, we will figure it out. We'll waive the fee, like whatever it might be, we will figure it out for you. But I did want to emphasize the insurance part, because if you don't want the student insurance through United Healthcare, then you do have to intentionally sign a waiver to have that removed from your account. In terms of hours of operations, we're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We do have evening clinic Monday and Wednesdays from 6 to 9, I believe. And then we also have Saturday clinics from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Excellent. Thank you. And that's very nice to hear that we obviously the health and wellness of our students is very important, and we'll always try to make however we need to make sure that that happens for them.
Exactly. Like, again, please don't ever think that if you can't afford it or you don't have insurance or, any of that, that's not a reason to book an appointment or come see us. We will still see you. We will figure it out. But I do think it's important to also have insurance. And I do also want to mention about the insurance part. Just because you have insurance through Morehouse with United Healthcare does not mean that, student health and wellness is the only place you can use it at. No, that's a very big misconception. You can use it at Emory. You can use it at Grady. You can use it at Piedmont. You can use it at any private practice that accepts United Healthcare. So I think it's really smart to have, especially if you're out of state, because that means you will be covered in the state of Georgia, wherever you choose to have your healthcare facility needs met at.
That's great. And it is important to note that anyone here who is an athlete for Morehouse, that you are required to be on Morehouse Health Insurance Plan. So you unfortunately do not get the option to waive that if you are an athlete for Morehouse. And we can answer more on that if you have any other further questions on that. But I did just want to make sure we clarified that, because I'm sure we've got some impressive athletes that will be joining us in the fall on this call.
And just to add to that, if you're an athlete at Morehouse, on top of the immunization requirements that are already required by Morehouse, the NCAA does require that every college athlete has sickle cell test. So you'll need to have that before you get on campus, or else you won't be able to practice, play, any of that.
Excellent. Thank you for that addition. I appreciate that. Back to you, Ms. Hill. If you were placed in the second year of language, are you still required to take a language?
Second So short answer, it depends. So I'm not going to say yes or no because I don't know what second means to you, but all students have to complete through language 201G. So some students are only taking one course in language, others are taking three, while some others are taking two. So that will be explained in more detail during the Advising Wednesday session so that you know how many languages are required for you, but it varies.
Okay. All right. And then I know there's been a lot of questions. We got about 10 minutes left, so we may not get to everyone, and we apologize for that, but we will certainly do our best to make sure you have our contact information and you can reach out to get any additional questions you have. And like I said, check the Admissions Resource Center. There's a lot of helpful information out there as well. There is one for move-in day. Is there a checklist of things that I will need to bring on move-in day?
There is, if you visit morehouse.edu/life/locations/housing, there is a PDF document behind the link that says what to bring, that lists all the things that you need in order to help you have a successful first semester on campus.
Excellent. Thank you for that. All right. Well, I've gone through my list of questions I see here. I want to take just a moment, one, to thank our wonderful panelists. Thank you so much, Miss Ashley Hill from Morehouse Advising. Thank you, Javaria Lodi, for joining us from the Student Health and Wellness Center, and Shamaria Simmons for the wonderful team of Strategic Marketing and Communications, which is my division that Shamaria sits on. So we thank you all for your time and your expertise. This is really helpful. I don't have any questions in the queue. So if there are more questions, I need to see those in the queue over here on the chat. But for all on the call, we're really excited that you all have chosen Morehouse. We love this place. We think it's, a very special place. So we're really, really excited to welcome you in the fall and see you here. Okay, I see a couple more questions. Since we do have a little bit of time, I'm going to take a couple more of these questions. Where do we go to register for housing? Where do we go to register for housing?
So you register for housing via your Morehouse student portal. So once you log into your My Portal, you should see a link in there for Tiger Den. But be mindful, in order for you to get approved and assigned housing, you have to complete all of those steps that were listed in the previous slide. The medical clearance, your financial clearance, you have to do your FAFSA, you have to have your advisement and your placement testing before we will provide you with a housing assignment.
Okay, that sounds great. There was one thing, and I was trying to find the date because I had written this down earlier. I'm not sure if anyone on the call knows this, is the waiving of the insurance. There is a deadline to that. Do any of you happen to know that date off the top of your head?
I don't know the date off the top of my head because, again, it's not done through student health. That portion is done through Morehouse's registrar, I believe, or account services. But if you want to sign that waiver, I would sign it like as soon as possible. The sooner you get that done, that's one less thing you have to worry about.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm not seeing it. I'm an old school person. You can see I write notes on paper. So I was trying to find my note that I have, or from earlier when I had that date. All right. Well, we have exhausted our time for the most part. Again, thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to our students. We very much appreciate you being here, wanting to learn more, wanting to get yourself prepared to come here and be the man of Morehouse that we look forward to you being. So thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.